sadhu sadhu sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Atanca bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassī vihārati. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupassī vihārati. Pancasu nīvaranesu titi. Dear Dhamma friends, today we are in our 7th day and this is the opening for the 7th Dhamma talk. And as we all know that we have taken a particular sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya, and the basic theme was of that particular sutta that if someone wishes to have one's own well-being and the protection, one has to practice mindfulness or diligence, and equally if one wishes to protect the society at large, he has to practice mindfulness and diligence. So therefore whoever practicing mindfulness protect oneself as well as protect the others. So with that theme, day by day as a series, we try to understand the meaning of 4 foundations of mindfulness, namely the Satipatthana. So we were in the Satipatthana for the last 2 days, and today 3 days we are going to go to the Dhammanupassana, that is how to be mindful on the mental factors or mental phenomena. And the Dhammanupassana, the term itself is, one has to have a kind of a clarification, because the Kayanupassana that we call this, be contemplative on the body, and the Vedananupassana on feeling, and the Chittanupassana, all of them are in the sense mental objects. But whatever may be leftovers, besides this Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, everything come under the topic of this Dhammanupassana. And but anyway, as the particular Sutta, the Satipatthana reveals, there are a few topics the Buddha himself has selected, and when someone is contemplating on these things, it amounts to be Dhammanupassana, or mental objects. The very first one the Buddha himself selected was these 5 hindrances. On the way up today, we talked about this subject in number of times, specifically under the restrainment regarding the concentration, or the sometimes as Chittanupassana, Nivaranas appeared at least twice. And today we are going to take it as one of the mental factors or Dhammanupassana, and it is simply another furthering of the same method. So I would like to quote on that respect what we find in the Sutta itself, specifically the Satipatthana Sutta. It says that 5 hindrances, each one has to deal in a very meticulous way with the already developed mindfulness and the concentration. Santam va ajjattam kamachandam santimi ajjattam kamachandoti pajana. The very first statement the Buddha made in this particular Dhammanupassana level is, whenever one's mind is obsessed with this sensuous lust, one has to understand this is the obsession. The sensuous lust is the obsession for the moment in my mind, here and now. So that very understanding, as we discussed yesterday, is very important. When and where the Kamachanda, the lust, become prominent under one's very nose. So that is a kind of a radical approach whereby whenever someone is to know the Kamacchanda, the lust, under very nose, one's nose, that means here and now, anyone uninstructed will be disappointed and discouraged to see whatever the effort I am going to do with all the kind of restrainment, still the Kamacchanda or the lust is powerful. Therefore, many take it points to be discouraged. But here the Buddha says, instead of being such a state of mind with pre-meditated views and assumptions, just see the Kamacchanda as Kamacchanda. So by that means you are trying to understand the characteristics of the intrinsic characteristics of the Kamacchanda, the lust. If as far as you have any repulsion, as far as you have any negative emotion, you will never take this as a subject to be understand, and as far as you don't understand, you can only do kind of a suppression, but you never get a mastery upon this subject. So therefore, once your mind become reinforced with mindfulness and concentration, you must be ready to see the Kamacchanda as Kamacchanda, or lust as lust. So they are, of course, not in the particularly Satipatthana Sutta, but when we are scrutinizing the Tripitaka, the Buddha says the Kamacchanda is like a coloration of your mind. In that set of similes, the Buddha take a bowl of water. As far as it is calm and quiet, you peep into that, you can see the image, because water is calm and quiet and pure. But if it is colored, your image also will be colored. So Kamacchanda is such a thing, coloring your mind, and therefore you can't see things as they are. So therefore you have to understand when and where the Kamacchanda come into being, your interpretation, your perception, your feelings and everything will be somewhat distorted.
Sir, Kamacchanda, can you say it in English language, opinion
lust,
and view?
Lust.
Can you? Lust.
Lust. So whenever the lust come into power, your all the perception, your all the feelings are being colored, so therefore you have to say it is little dislodged. It is not as it is. So if you are going to get kind of a premeditated idea of hatred towards the Kamacchanda or to get rid of Kamacchanda kind of thing, you will never take it as a subject matter to understand here and now. So therefore, at the Dhammanupassana level, when and where the mindfulness and the concentration is intact, it's a bold kind of way to understand Kamacchanda. Whenever you become successful to see when the Kamacchanda comes, the coloration happens, so therefore whatever you experience is being colored, it is not the natural. Under such circumstances, whenever there is no Kamacchanda, you can have a discrete and discrimination. Now my mind is away from Kamacchanda. So unless otherwise you understand the Kamacchanda under your very nose, in the red-handed way, you will never experience the lack of Kamacchanda. Lack of Kamacchanda is, water is just water, you can have your image. And therefore the comparison is possible when it is available and when it is not there. And again, if you keep that thing as a subject for specialization, at a time you may understand how the Kamacchanda creep into or arising in your stream of consciousness. Due to the impingements of visual objects or sounds or smells or taste or touch or any kind of mental recollections, the unarisen Kamacchanda may be arising. And there you can understand how the changes happening within your stream of consciousness. Before it was pure, and after once the Kamacchanda sets in, it becomes completely agitated and distorted, dislodged. So therefore opinions and views will be colored. So whenever you are ready to do this kind of thing, unreasoned Kamacchanda arising, you must have a extraordinary kind of equanimity or khanti to take it as a subject matter. Otherwise, definitely you will react. Definitely you will have some assumptions that something happening bad, so you get excited. But the Buddha here is asking, whenever the unreasoned Kamacchanda arising, one has to be equally aware of it and be ready to see the changes. And then only you become qualified to say that I know little bit of Kamacchanda. So this is the point where special kind of equanimity, equipoised mind, to take the stream of consciousness with Kamacchanda and the without Kamacchanda in the equal balance, with the equal attitude. So that is how the Kamacchanda becomes the subject matter or raw material for you to understand. So therefore this Kamacchanda at a time considered as a coloration of the mind, and whenever the Kamacchanda is not available in the mind, you feel the relaxation, you feel the kind of the example Buddha given is, whenever we are sure you are under the obsession of Kamacchanda, you are in a debt. Once you pay the back, you feel relaxed. Something like that you can understand whenever the Kamacchanda is working. It is coloration of the mind. Your views and opinions will be distorted and you are under the pressure of debt. Whenever the Kamacchanda is not there, you can understand you are released. Equally, whenever the anger, the hatred going to happen, the 4 stages, when and where the stream of consciousness is become angry, you have to understand the natural characteristics of anger. And then only you will be qualified to see whenever the mind is free of anger. And example given is when it is when the mind is angry, it is like that bowl of water is boiling, bubbling, and there you can't see the image there, or you can't see the bottom of the bowl because it is bubbling. Exactly when the anger comes, too much of heat happens, so therefore your vision, your views will be distorted. Whenever the anger is not there, the Buddha says it is as if you are healed from a disease. If you have any kind of a wound or any kind of feverish feeling, when it is there, you understand how you are at dis-ease. When it is cured, you are at ease. Likewise, the anger, when it is available and when it is not available, these two discriminations you must be ready to accept in the equal way. If it is so, you can understand at a time when the anger is creeping into your stream of consciousness. There are the diligences. The term diligence has a special meaning. You are not becoming negligent or delayed to understand as and when the anger is coming to be. If you have any kind of premeditated ideas or negative feelings regarding the anger, you will never be open to see how it arises. And if that kind of a boldness is there, you can understand, more you become delayed, the anger will become the master and you will succumb to the situation, and situation go beyond your control, and therefore earlier the better. So if I am to draw the attention to the early part of our Dhamma talks, we came to know sometimes we have to deal with this anger at the moral restrainment level, that to take a vow not to kill, not to steal, not to have harsh words, kind of thing. But in the concentration level, you develop meditation and suppress your mind by keeping the object of meditation in face to face, so that anger will not come. So these are the ways you are tackling the anger in an informal way or a temporary way. But when it comes to the Dhammanupassana, you are directly take the anger as a subject matter, and when and where it is available, you know this is my mind is with the anger. When it is not available, you know it is my stream of consciousness free of anger. And when and where the anger is coming to being, there you see how it develops as far as you have the negligence. If you have the diligence or mindfulness to see, it is catching the momentum with the fertilizer or with the food of negligence. If you have the diligence, it will never take that kind of a aggressive state. So therefore, anger, you can understand when and where you can delay it, gather the momentum. So therefore, at least you will understand that you will be angry because of not due to external factors, but due to your own ignorance, your own negligence. Whatever may be the aggressive nature of the outside, if you can guard your mind, understanding how the anger catching the momentum, it is that you can't do overnight. That you can't learn by a talk like this. You can learn by contemplation and by deductive knowledges. With all knowledges, you have to experiment again and again, and then only you will come to know that anger is something which is a dependent originating, and therefore if you can catch it earlier, the better. And not only that, when it is catching the earlier, you develop kind of a hilarious feeling, the positive thinking, day by day I will go to the source, I will go to the base, I will go to the immature state of anger, there my mastery is increasing.
So, how come that a person can go deep into meditation and still not be able to tackle anger? I can't understand that.
So that we will come in slowly, because this is the way, the direct way of understanding how the lust is working, how the anger is working, exactly the way the sloth and torpor also. Earlier you can tackle, easier you to control. Once you gather the momentum, you succumb to the situation. But even if you succumb to the situation and completely depressed, that won't make a permanent damage to your stream of consciousness. Again, its recoverability and this understanding capacity, the potential is there. So therefore you must not discourage. You have to make a vow. Next time I will tackle it one thought moment before. One thought moment before. That is how the Yoniso Manasikara, the mechanism is called Yoniso Manasikara, coming back to the source, slowly gather the momentum. And the important point is that this whole experimentation is within your capacity. So therefore, by applying yourself again and again, provided this same mistake is coming again and again, you have a better raw materials for your experimenting. So therefore, the diagnosis of the sloth and torpor as sloth and torpor, and understanding the stream of consciousness free of sloth and torpor, and the setting up of, or the creeping in of the sloth and torpor, these things you have to do the feasibility study in terms of understanding who am I. So by doing that only, you develop the mastery slowly. So one thing you can keep it in your mind. When there are some characters, there are some personalities, there are some traits, accordingly some people are more biased to the lust. For them, it may be not much problem. Some other people are more biased to the hatred and short-tempered, and their lust will be weaker. And there are some kind of people very wakeful, for them the sloth and torpor is not the problem. But there are some characters, some people, they have their personality trait, they are naturally sleepy. Likewise, that restlessness and worries and doubts can happen. So most important thing is the early part of your meditation, such as in sitting meditation with the in-breath and out-breath, and walking meditation with the left leg and the right leg, to understand what is the most frequent visitor. Whether it is the lust, or hatred, or sloth and torpor, or restlessness, or doubt, whatever may be. So when and where that the trait, your personality trait, come into being, you must have kind of a welcoming idea in order to diagnose it. That is the radical thing expected at the Dhammanupassana level. It is not starting at the Dhammanupassana level, it is starting even at the Kayanupassana level, where you are dealing with the in-breath and out-breath or materiality. And when you are learning on the feelings, and when you are learning on the mind matters, everywhere this approach must be there to understand what is the most frequent visitor. And when it is available, you know it. When it is not available, you know verily. And when it is creeping in, you know. That is the way the Buddha says that you become master, understanding what character type I have and how I become succumb to that situation due to my negligence, due to my lack of knowledge. And the other part is some kind of the perversions, some kind of distorted situations in the mind. So therefore there may be some misunderstanding. So one good example is one day Venerable Anuruddha, before becoming he fully enlightened, he paid a visit to Venerable Sariputta, and by that time Venerable Sariputta is full-fledged. So he says, "Oh dear friend, my mind is so clear, Araddham Komi Viryam," and with the ardent energy, and I can see, my mind is so clear, I can feel, I can see as if I have a divine eye. Such a clarity is in my mind. And the energy is very good. I am not sleepy. And mindfulness also intact. And body is quite yielding. It is not arrogant. It is not any friction. So I feel comfortable. And mind also appears to be very calm and quiet. But anyway, I am practicing, no end. Why is that? I have very clear vision, I have good energy, I have the mindfulness intact and the concentrated, but even then I can't reach the Nibbana. And boldly, Venerable Sariputta says, when you are claiming that you can see the whole world and everything with the divine eye, it is nothing but your conceit. When you say that you have enough energy, that is nothing but agitated mind. When you say you have the mindfulness and the concentration, it's a misunderstanding. And when you say still I am not reaching Nibbana, that is your remorse. Therefore, understand the Nissarana in its right perspective. Otherwise, you will misunderstand and ever you will be rotating around the same thing, never reach the target. But in this narration, luckily the Venerable Anuruddha is accepting what the Venerable Sariputta is telling and his diagnosis. And that became a hiatus for him to come into the proper grounds. But are we ready to accept that kind of a diagnosis? Then someone is going to say, when we are going to say, we can see a very clear vision, and sometimes some people say, I have seen the past life, I can see others' minds, I can heal others. Many claims are there. If someone say out of compassion, mind your own business. This is the conceit. As far as you are entertaining it, never you will come to the balance of the mind. Many will get irritated. They will not be happy to accept this proper diagnosis. But luckily here the Venerable Sariputta is an authoritative person, and Venerable Anuruddha has the good respect upon him. So therefore he managed to accept this as a constructive diagnosis. So therefore sometimes we claim we have this and that, so unless otherwise we have any comparison or someone else's diagnosis, we better not arrive at a decision, but keep on have this observation. So therefore, if someone is willing to read it, please go to Anguttara Nikaya, the book of 3, Dutiya Anuruddha Sutta. One has to study it in detail, whereby how Venerable Anuruddha come and honestly report to Venerable Sariputta, these are my qualities, but still I am stagnating. Anguttara Nikaya, Tika Nipada, and Dutiya Anuruddha Sutta, Venerable Sariputta clearly indicating, even though you call them as very positive qualities, it is nothing but the conceit, nothing but the agitated mind, and nothing but the regret. So therefore, many yogis, those who have a certain amount of mindfulness, certain amount of on and off concentration, certain amount of the kaya passaddhi, that mind become very calm and the body become very calm and yielding, they often ask the question, I am practicing, but still there is no end. There is no, the due liberation happens. Maybe some kind of a perversions are taking place. Maybe some misunderstandings. That is why it says that whenever the ignorance is working, there it is bifold, twofold, that to say, simple misunderstanding and misperception. Whenever these misperceptions happen, it is yet another hindrance. You are contributing to the doubts. So therefore, don't have preconceived ideas. Don't have judgmental mind. Let the unarisen, whenever the unarisen lust arises, you have to be very observant. Whenever the unarisen hatred arises, you have to be quite observant. Whenever the unarisen sloth and torpor and remorse and the worries comes, or any doubt happens, to understand they are Dhamma. Dhamma means, in a sense, you must not assume them as me, them as mine, or them as my soul. You have to understand as if you have hired a stage or an auditorium, and the people come and perform different dramas. If you wish, you can go in the auditorium and as an observant or the person observe, and you can entertain the drama, but you can't get into the stage and play now, because it is no more yours, it has been hired. What happens is we forget that we have hired off the stage. Sometimes we claim this is my stage, therefore whatever the drama, I have my role. Sorry. You can only observe. A neutral observer, drama is going on. That is what the Buddha says, Netam mama, nesoham asmi, nameso atta. Whenever such a lust arises, or hatred, or kind of sloth and torpor, or whatever may be arising, at this stage, of course at this Dhammanupassana level, you are observing them as mere Dhamma. Or, in the sense, this is not me, this is not mine, and this is not myself. And in that sense, whenever the Nissarana, that means 5 hindrances are no more, that mind become very pliable, and mind become whole body experience and you are in a least frictional kind of situation, sometimes you understand this was there even before your meditation, before you start Anapanasati or before start the mindfulness. Mind had that situation, we were not appreciating it. We always worry about when and where any Nissarana comes or any bad trait comes, we are quite worrying and trying to get it off. But whenever this is not there, whenever Nissaranas are not performing, there's a kind of a state, it is the date of lying, we never appreciate it. So therefore, the Buddha, in the Sutta Pitaka, he says, Pabassaramidam bhikkave chittam agantuke upakkalitam tanchako asutava putujjano nappajadhanati tasma asutavato putujjanassa chitta bhavana natthiti vadami. For monks, everyone's mind is lustrous, pure, but it is smeared with superficial defilements or rust. Those who have not heard properly the true Dhamma will never accept it. So therefore such people, whatever the thing they can't do and have a good peace of mind through meditation. Instead, knowing that the mind, the core of the mind is lustrous, pure, superficially it is smeared with this, either this nivaranas or any other defilements, it's a very thin layer, not a very big one. But by reducing, by weakening the thin layer of nivarana or any defilement, at a time one can see through. And when you see through, what you see is, sometimes your mind is free of all the nivaranas. And it's very pliable, least frictional. But when it happens, if you are not believing it, again what you expect is, or what you are falling back is to another nivarana. A doubt maybe, or falling into sleep maybe, or agitation maybe. These are the things your rational mind proposed. And rational mind come and say, I am rescuing, I am safeguarding you, therefore I am not a bad friend, consider me as a friend. But that is why the Buddha says, if you have heard Dhamma, if you have contemplated properly, and if you have the preparedness when the meditation is happening, it's of course a coincidence. At a time you will understand that the pure mind is not a result of meditation. As far as the human being is concerned, each and every being has this pure mind. Only the additional thing or the external thing is, each one entertains different kinds of defilements, different kind of nivaranas. Accordingly, we have different personality traits. But it is a very thin layer. You have to see through it, not by completely removing it. Here and there you can remove it and see through, then you can accept the basic thesis of the Buddha. Mind is by nature is pure. The external rust or external coloration is just like a painting of a car. How thin is the layer? So if you are going to measure the whole value of the car by the paint, then you will get caught up. So likewise, the mind of each and everyone, Buddha says, papasara. For those who have no understanding, they always entertain doubt, they always underestimate, they always have the inferiority kind of a complex. So therefore, whenever the mind becomes even lustrous, free of nivarana, fail to understand, fail to recognize, fail to appreciate it. Therefore, again and again, with this purity, a created kind of nivarana, something like entertaining doubts, going to take place. That is why one has to be aware the double-fold method or tricky method, the ignorance is working. Simple unknowing one thing, other thing is misunderstanding, misperception. So most difficult part is the misperception. For that you have to have noble friends, you have to listen to Dhamma, you have to discuss yourself and ponder into, and with that radical reflection, you have to practice again and again. By practicing, all of a sudden you may come into being that mind was from the beginning was there, but we were not appreciating it. Because we are so possessed or obsessed with Nissarana, and we are fighting always to get rid of Nissarana, but we have never thought, what is the mind free of Nissarana? So that is why that when I am reading a book about that, the conference, His Holiness Dalai Lama and the scientists came together, and they are talking about the destructive emotions, and they put different people with that kind of emotion into the functional MRI machine and map the brain when the emotions are there, how it works. And instead the Dalai Lama is suggesting to put a well-developed or well-meditated Lama into the machine and see how he is, how his mind is when he is doing the Metta Bhavana, when he is doing Vipassana Bhavana, when he is doing imagining kind of thing. Then for the first time, the scientist says, for the first time now we are testing a positive mind. Throughout our machines and theory and practice, everything was to concern about the sick minds, psychiatric minds. In the West, we have never thought about the sick, the pure mind. And then the Dalai Lama asked, what is the definition for the pure mind? No definition. Because our mentality is negative. We are always thinking about the sick people. We never think about the positive thing. So then the Dalai Lama suggests that I would say the compassionate mind is a kind of a healthy mind. So can you measure the compassion in the machine? Then he show, when you are radiating the compassion or metta bhavana or loving kindness, these are the places getting activated. And then yet another person suggests, what about the mindfulness, when the mind is here and now? And that is also yet another interpretation for the healthy mind or unpolluted mind. So we, each and everyone, look the world through this external smeared defilements. Therefore we never see through, and we never aimed at looking at this lustrous mind. Whenever it happens, it appears like an accident. It appears like something unexpected. So we ask, then what is the next? Now what to do the next? That means you are never entertaining, you are never doing Chitta Bhavana. Chitta Bhavana means understanding whenever the Nissarana are weak, you can see through the non-frictional mind, and that is what the Buddha is asking at the medium stage of the purification, and there you have to dwell upon it. You have to make it your at home. You have to season it up to the point not to question it, not to doubt it, not to challenge it, and understand at least I made it black. I came to the datum line, and by maturing, by seasoning, by familiarization, by being there, make it your home, only the healthy mind can think about what is the next. It is not the person outside suggesting you to what is the next. The mind has to assimilate. Up to that level, you have to understand the lustrous mind inside is already an endowment, but these defilements and the nivaranas are something secondary, came later due to your upbringing or association or liking and disliking, and they also not necessarily get rid of completely. You have to weaken it to see through it. Once the here and there through the glimpses happens, you must have correct perspective to see, now I can see the mind with lust and without the lust. I can see the mind with anger and not with the anger. I can recognize the mind with sloth and torpor, without sloth and torpor, and doubt and restlessness, and the worries and restlessness, doubt. So therefore, having the doubt and not having the doubt, under these perspectives have the same value. If then only then you can see how the doubts sets in. How they come into being with the help of the visual objects and seeing and kind of thing. And when that happens, you can understand this is not limited to your mind, this is the universal mind. This is the way people are working. And iti ajjhattam dhammesu dhammanupassī virati, bahiddhāvā dhammenu dhammanupassī virati, ajjhata bahiddhāvā dhammenu dhammanupassī virati. Whenever you are trying to trace one strand, maybe along the lust or the hatred, whatever maybe the mechanism is the same, whenever you see this is the way it happens within me, you have to assume or you have to deduce, you have to rationalize exactly the way it happens in the other minds also. So therefore, once you sympathize yourself, when and where the lust is arising, you can equally sympathize your fellow beings. Whenever you are sympathizing yourself or develop khanti or upekkha, when and where the anger arises, telling that I am understanding the nature of anger. I am understanding the arising and creeping in of the anger without pre-judgmental thinking, unassuming, non-reaction way, then only you can understand how the anger arises in others' minds. So likewise, whenever nivaranas or these hindrances come under the light of mindfulness, it has kind of a universality, irrespective of individual nivarana, individual hindrance. They have the same mechanism, but their damage is multifarious. So therefore the Buddha says, whenever the mind is lustful, it is like a colored water. Whenever it is hateful, it is a boiling and bubbling water. And it is sloth and torpor, it says the water body is covered with algae or water plants. So covered with, so therefore you can't recognize it as a still for a fool. It is just like you can't see your face because of the algae or pollen or whatever may be floating on the water. And whenever it is the restlessness and worry comes, it is like due to the wind, there are some frills and waves on the water, so your reflection of your face will be distorted. Whenever the doubt happens, it is like water is full of mud, and therefore it is no more like a liquid, so therefore the upper layer is distorted. So likewise, each and every one has different functions, but it's arising, and when it arising, your reaction, your assumptions are the matter distorting your understanding. So therefore at the Dhammanupassana level, you take all your early mistakes and take the maximum of your mindfulness so that you get a detached look or distance look and see how the beginning, how the middle and how the end of it. So in the under the light of some suttas, the Buddha says, your task is to see the beginning, or your meditation, your adverting is to see the beginning. More and more you to see the beginning, you will be endowed with the seeing of the end of it. If you manage to see unarisen lust is arising, you will be equally equipoised and balanced to see arisen lust is disappearing. Then you feel master, you feel confident, you feel positive. Equally, if you manage to see the arising part of anger with equipoised mind, of course it will come up to a peak and there feel like it's beyond control, and then definitely you will be endowed to see the cessation of the anger. Equally the sleepiness, and worries and the doubt, and the worries and the restlessness and the doubt, whenever you observe its cessation, there you will see, so far in our samsara, in the life, we were always worrying and getting agitated when it is arising, but we never managed to see the cessation of the lust, the cessation of the anger, the cessation of the, even in the temporary way, cessation of the worries and the remorse and the doubt. But never it have only one facet, that rising pattern. Always it was with the rising and passing away facets, that we were so obsessed, we have so worked up due to the Nissarana, so therefore we get agitated and therefore we are not patient enough to see the cessation part. Whenever these Nissaranas, of course it is categorized as 5 Nissaranas, but if you cut into them, they will have 7, sloth and torpor as 2, worries and remorse as 2, 7 Nissaranas. When they come, you understand the mind without Nissaranas, and that is the point, these 7 factors of enlightenment come into maturity. They are also the starting with the mindfulness. So as far as the mindfulness as a factor of enlightenment, the Buddha says, you must be ready to see whenever the mindfulness is intact in the present moment, to understand my mind is with now mindfulness. Equally you must be ready to understand the my mind for the moment, or stream of consciousness for the moment, is without mindfulness. That is the challenge. We never be happy to see whenever the mindfulness is not intact. We self-accuse. We are fault-finding because we expect the mindfulness as a permanent, unshakable thing. But you have to understand, mindfulness is subjected to arising and passing away. Mindfulness is itself is a sankhara. It has its 3 characteristics. It has its own beginning, it has its evolving middle, and the cessation. But if you are not ready to accept the cessation or disappearance of the mindfulness with your equipoised mind, ever the mindfulness will colorate your mind. Whenever it happens, whenever it comes, whenever it sets in, you will be happy. Whenever it is not there, you will be unhappy, and worst thing is you will think this is your moral responsibility. To be happy with the mindful and not to happy with unmindful. But that is not the way. When you are doing the Dhammanupassana level, you must develop such a attitude. When it is available, you know it is as available. Whenever not available, you know it is not available, but you must develop equal or equipoised or balanced mind. That is the thing very difficult to comprehend. And you may see, whenever you understand unmindful situation and still you can look at it at distance and see as an object, not a bad thing, then only you can understand how that mind free of mindfulness give a chance to mindfulness to arise. These are called blinks. You can't do it, they are happening. But you have to, what is the outcome is, you'll be glad to see how the mindfulness or how the self-consciousness arising whenever you are vigilant. Whenever you are diligent to see, now my stream of consciousness free of mindfulness or lack of mindfulness, but still unshaken. I think there is no other way the Buddha can communicate this message other than this way. So he has tried his best to give the detail, but one has to be very seriously careful. This is not the early part of your practice. This is due to your continuity of mindfulness, due to your continuity of concentration and regular sitting meditation, regular walking meditation. When that happens, there may be 1001 times you feel the mind is wandering. Mind is daydreaming, fantasizing. And instead of becoming worried, instead of hating yourself, understand this is one of the situations you must be fully aware of. If possible, without agitation. And therefore one has to make a statement telling, whenever you become aware of the mindful mind, that is great. But if you can aware of unmindful mind and still unshaken, that is much, much better than understand the mindfulness as mindfulness. This is the way one can explain what is the great character or attributes of the equanimous mind. It is, I don't think it is a training. You can do it itself, but the inviting is, it is naturally happening. When and where happen, if you can appreciate, if you can put them in the proper place, then you are lucky. Then you are practicing, you are advancing. So therefore you must let the mind to, a healthy mind to unfold in its natural fold, and therefore whenever Nivaranas are there, you are pinpointing and understanding this is available, this is not. Whenever the mind is free of Nivaranas, you know now you are at home. Now mind is assimilating the ways and means to understand. Whenever the mindfulness is there, yes, it is mindful, you understand. When it is not there, equally unshaken, you understand. And then you know when it is unmindful mind is starting to gain the mindfulness. And then only, the Buddha says, you know how to facilitate that kind of a mindfulness to be continuous. Be steadfast. Not by regretting, telling that my mind is becoming unmindful. And when you come to the Dhammajiva Sambojjhanga, that means that inquiring mind or inquisitive mind to a Dhamma, so we each and everyone happy to collect, accumulate, gather more and more Dhamma, or more and more the facts, more and more the teaching of the Buddha. But sometimes our mind becomes so nasty. It becomes happy with lustrous things, sensuous things. So when that happens, Dhamma disappears, and then you feel regret, you feel flat, and you get agitated, thinking it is something naughty, something morally imbalanced. But here the Buddha says, whenever the Dhammajiva Sambojjhanga is there, the inquiry mind, you understand now the Dhammajiva Sambojjhanga is there. But whenever it is not there, equally you know, without any agitation, now my mind is otherworldly. It is outwardly, or pursuit of pleasure. And still if you can maintain the balance of the mind, or equipoised mind, or sympathizing mind, then only you can understand how this, again, the appreciation for Dhamma comes. So there I would say, it is, you become an opportunist. Whenever the good thing happens, you appreciate. Whenever bad thing happens, you try your best not to get agitated. Again, I am telling this is happening at the Dhammanupassana level, but some quick people, soon after introducing mindfulness, they explore into this kind of situation. So if it is there, no harm, you can abide by this kind of a blissful events in the life, and it is a real boosting for you to maintain the spiritual life. And then only you can understand who are the people, those who are advanced in meditation, who are the people to be associated as spiritual friends, and what are the events and places where you can have these glimpses, these blinks. And then you will be supporting and promoting and facilitating this kind of event, and then it is called sappaya karma, that means suitable conditions you give, and then you learn kind of an art, ways and means to facilitate this kind of, understanding ways and means. So that may be the reason the Buddha says, when you are practicing Satipatthana, out of 7 benefits, the 6th one he says, Dukkha Domanasa, and then Nyayasa Adhigama, you come to know the particular way, how to lead the yogic life. The Nyaya means the tactics, the ways and means. It is never taught by the Buddha. He says the basic attributions, and according to your own unfolding of the meditative life, understanding of the mindfulness and the concentration, you have to maximize, you have to facilitate, you have to promote where their mind is no much of agitation, instead understanding yes as yes and no as no. But equal equipoise mind. So then that nyaya or this methodology, you can't share with another person. Because his way, his traits and his liking and disliking different. But universality is there as far as the unfolding is concerned. That is why the Buddha explained it in his discourses, but each and everyone can't explain that I am a lustful character, therefore I must be similar with the person with the hateful character. It is very volatile thing. It is changing from person to person. But anyway, whatever may be, whenever the Nissarana comes, understanding it's the beginning, the middle and the end. Whenever the Bojjhanga happens, or factors of enlightenment, see the beginning, the middle and the end. And then only you can develop equipoise or equal mind to see the beginning as well as the end in the unshaken way. So when that happens, that is called Dhammanupassana, or higher grade of training, and you will equally and easily understand it is not limited to sitting meditation. Never. It is not limited to walking meditation. Equally you can do it in the day-to-day activities, equally in the agitated world, or in the modern day, the multitask jobs.
Can a person get enlightened or aware, not seated meditation or sakman, but in a normal way, can he?
He get the glimpse. Whenever it happens, and he is ready to take the opportunity. He become opportunities. This is not limited to sitting meditation, this is not limited to the walking meditation, this is the day-to-day. And therefore, whenever it happens, if you know, just like a person who is gemming, and he know this is a gem, he will pick it. He will not pick all the other muck and the sands, because his genuine understanding about valuing of a gem. So likewise, in our day-to-day activity, 1001 is kind of moments are there, blinks are there, or the glimpses are there, but we are not, how do you call that, balanced. We are not equipoised. Our mind is always finding faults. We think fault finding is our moral responsibility. Sorry to say. I mean, that is the way you can see the dark side of it. Instead, Buddha says, see the good side, see the bright side, see the love spots in the life, and then slowly towards the Dhammanupassana level, you see the lustrous minds, not the external upakilesas or defilement or the rust. So that is why the Buddha says the example of the goldsmith, when old or used ornament given to the goldsmith, he would say you come 2 days time or come 6 hours time or something like that. And within that what he do is he put that gold into fire and burn the external most thin layer and then put into water and brush it with soap. And once that is gone, the inner layer will be exposed, and then put again into the fire, burn it, make it ash and put into water and brush it. And again put it there. Likewise, he burned layer by layer, very thin one, but the ornamental things are very decorated with carvings, and therefore this oil and the dirt go into the deep into the cleavages. If you rub it against the rock, the carvings will go worn out and then value will go down. But if you are just washing, brushing with the cotton wool, the inner dirt will not come. So it has to go into the fire, water. After certain rounds, all the external accumulated dust, the rust and the dirt will go. And then the glistering, the gold will appear. Till that, he keep on doing the same. Putting into the difference or opposites, fire and water. And then whenever the old dirt's gone, that itself is enough that he give a gold plating so that it appear like a brand new wood. Exactly the way when you go to the Buddha, the Buddha will never see your external dirty thing to devaluate you. He will say you are a human, you have the whole potential, but please let me help you to see through this external layer, and later you will try your best to get rid of that, because it is not the intrinsic nature. Intrinsic nature is the internal glittering, the gold. The external thing is accumulated thing due to your usage, due to your upbringing, due to your culture, due to your liking and disliking, and this easily could be removed. And that is what Buddha says, the person who has listened to Dhamma have that kind of a positive thinking. He knows that when you look at the thing, you see only the dirt, because it is the outermost layer. But that does not indicate the whole thing is dirty. Internally, that the valuable gold is there, so you must not underestimate any human being, telling he is inferior, he is having this and that. Of course, individuals have their own personality traits, but it is just a mere external painting. So if you can see through it, you are really valuing the humanity. That is why Buddha says, Dullabho manusatta parilabho. Becoming a human being is a very rare thing. After becoming, if you develop inferiority due to your limited knowledge about the external view, external dirt, definitely you will underestimate other person, because your eyes never see through. He will see only the bad traits or accumulated dust in the other person also. But the Dhamma is to see through. In order to see through, only this mindfulness or vigilance or diligence has to be there, and you have to understand this ignorance is working in the double-fold manner. Your simple unknown, so therefore you have to listen, to discuss, and you have to gain that basic knowledge. And there further, to understand, you have your own misunderstandings. Taking wrong thing as correct and correct thing as wrong, and that is the de-learning process, deconditioning process. And as far as your rational mind is working, it is protesting against this de-learning process, against this deconditioning process. So you have to be humble. You have to share each other with the noble friends, just like the Venerable Anuruddha in front of Venerable Sariputta. When the Venerable Sariputta going to give a proper interpretation, he is ready to accept it. And that's all. That understanding the Nissarana as Nissarana is the end of Nissarana. And understanding the Bojjhanga Dhamma, that is the factors of enlightenment, is also the same mastery of the fact. So therefore, this linear education system or rational system is useful as far as getting rid of this appatipatya vidya. Simple unknowing you can remove by teaching. But getting rid of this misperception, it's an art. That you have to be careful about the rational mind, about so-called knowledge, and it do not like to give up your personal likings and dislikings, your personality traits, so much so you are resisting the Dhamma in working in you. So therefore, whenever you practice further and further, you naturally will become malleable, naturally become humble, naturally understand the profundity of Dhamma, naturally will understand the profound nature of the Buddha and the profundity of the people, those who have understood. Therefore, enough rooms for you to not to be arrogant and to be simple. And that you have to promote. I categorically say it is none of the others' business. There is no authority someone has to say you have to be humble, you have to be simple. Now, when the Dhamma blooms, it comes into being, you feel the ways and means, and there the Buddha says, take myself as one refuge, the Dhamma as another refuge, the Sangha as a refuge, and your own moral integrity as refuge. And upon that, when you go there, you see the Dhamma is not caught up in the time dimension. exactly the same way when you are meeting the Buddha in the Jetavanarama, in the India, and exactly the Dhamma is the same way. Even now we may be in Germany and we may be in 2600 years later, but the way it manifests is the same. So therefore, it must be a gradual process. When and where the Dhamma is revealing, you have to take the opportunity, and then when you are going there, that is the way the Nyaya, the methodology, they come into being, and understanding methodology is the proximate course to reach the final liberation. So therefore I hope within 7 days we try to understand little by little up to the Dhammanupassana, and it is opening the doors through your own practice and through your own theoretical understanding. And with that remark I will sum up the today's talk, and tomorrow also I would like to deal the same subject about Dhammanupassana, the rest of the other part, and that is the way we are concluding the Satipatthana Sutta, as well as the main sutta we have selected for the topic of the series. So I would like to thank you for listening.